you through. We had the best time though, and just as everyone should experience an international convention. I actually, until last night, thought I was going to be able to go to Australia and realized it's the week my son graduates high school. So probably I cannot get on a plane and get back from Australia. There's certain things that you would never be forgiven. But it was a life-changing experience. It was really, really cool. So that is Kim and I, the first day, me and Kim. And the hotel we stayed at was right by the waterfront. We could walk to this area and had some of the best food. We actually went to a Brazilian restaurant that first night. So this is before the convention started. We arrived on, this was Saturday. So we arrived on Saturday, and the convention itself you couldn't even register for until Sunday. So this was our first night. And then the next day, we registered and got ourselves set, but there really wasn't any activities that were planned. So our group, our 5100 Club group, so that's all the people in our district that were there, we all went sightseeing together. We were able to get into a bus, and we headed down the coastline of Portugal. So that was a pretty cool way to start, and a great way to start meeting people at that first day. So this was one of the they have beautiful, beautiful churches that we were able to see. And I think that was like at our first stop.
That was our very first stop.
We got out and took this picture.
We did. And it was a coastline tour that we took of the area, and you'll see more pictures, but we went to Estoril, Sintra, Cascais, and yeah, those three. There might have been, I can't remember.
So this was where we want to live. It's a gorgeous palace that we got to tour that first day.
Well, actually, this is our summer palace, because really...
Oh, okay. So we're going to live.
Summer palace, whatever. And this was our interior decorating event that we did.
Portugal was heavily influenced when they were creating these, where the kings and queens and the monarchy lived during this period, by the French. So they copied, this was like a mini Versailles. So they took all the things that they liked in France and recreated it in these castles. So that was interesting. I had no idea that the French had such a strong influence in those early years over Portugal and how it was being set up. I always thought it was very Spain-oriented. And what is interesting about Portugal is that they actually don't even like to be hooked in guidebooks with Spain. They are very separate. They see themselves as very separate country, and really don't link themselves. And that was a new awakening to me when we were over there. So this was inside. And then this is one of our AGs from, he's out of the Gresham Club. And Carlos, great guy. We hung with him most of the trip. He and his wife were, and she's the president right now of the Gresham Club, and so it was really cool. And he's a photographer and takes lots of pictures.
Carlos is the one who, he's going into his third year as AG for District 5100, but he went last year to the Bangkok Convention, and then this year. And he's been the one that has organized all of the District 5100 events at the convention. So not just the things that we do within the convention itself and the District 5100 reception that we have, but he also organizes all of the local sightseeing events for everybody. So he's just done an amazing job both years for this.
And this is another AG.
It's not Sam. What did I get? Sue.
Sue Coates and her daughter Sam.
It was nice. We had, in addition to Riley, we had a couple of youth that were on this trip. Carlos and Diane Noriega brought their granddaughter, who had just graduated high school. Sue, not Sam, Sue brought her daughter Sam. Of course, Riley was there. And there were others as well, but it was nice in our own little group to have 3 very active members with us.
That's me and Tom, of course, standing in front of the, we're still at the castle. And we're standing in front of it. This gives you an idea of kind of the density too. I mean, it's very, lots and lots and lots of people and buildings, and then the gorgeous bridge and the water,
they do purposely copy the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco when they built this. It's not called that, it has a really long name that it's called, but.
Is that a river or the Bay of the Ocean or?
That
was a river.
Yeah, that's the river. Yeah.
Is it smaller than the San Francisco one?
Yes.
It looks a little expanded.
Yeah, the span isn't quite as far. Yeah.
So this was one of the first little towns we then went into, and you can see, lots of walking, lots of stairs, and then cute little shops all the way along here. Mostly very touristy, but cute little things up. Very porcelain, you can buy lots of porcelain, needlework, those types of things. We spent a lot of time here, sitting outside having coffee and drinks, and it was warm. It was pretty warm the whole time we were there. So lots of stopping and that type of thing. But very cute little restaurants as well in this town to visit and sightsee.
And they had banners, and I tried to put the banners in, but I'm still learning my Mac. And whatever I was doing last night, my vertical pictures, some of them weren't coming in right. So, but much like Bangkok, there were banners everywhere we went welcoming Rotary, and they were beautiful. They were black, and they had this kind of like deep coral type color on them, and it was just so nice. You're out in the middle of nowhere, and then, oh, there's a banner, welcome Rotarians. So that was really,
and there was
nice.
20,000 of us?
25,000.
25,000. And the year before, though, in Bangkok, there were 35,000. So just to give you the sheer numbers of people. So this was our whole group, 5,100. We're now down in the coastal area, and you can tell the wind is just going crazy. But just a beautiful area right along the coast.
I'm going to show that next week.
And so we thought this was pretty cool. Right there is Paul Harris' 75th anniversary of that club in Sintra, and it has a beautiful monument too. And there's Rotary right there.
And this was at the northernmost point of the coastline tour that we were on. And I can't remember why it was important, but they made a point of telling us that several times. So I'd have to go back and look that up.
I just thought this was kind of a cool picture. Just again, you can see the lushness of the greenery, but then there's the buildings like right in the middle of it,
and we kind of discovered this by accident. So we were in that town of Sintra, and Carolyn and I took off at one point together, and
we had to go to the bathroom.
I didn't say that part. Okay, so we had to go find a bathroom. And so, fortunately there were bathrooms, because I've been in parts of Europe, well, the bathroom is the hole in the ground. But in order to find one, we ended up going to this hotel, and we walked up this street, and there's this beautiful hotel. So we went in and we thought, oh, surely we'll find a bathroom in the front lobby, right? Because we're thinking it's going to be like the U.S., And there wasn't, but that's all right. But we walked in, and it was just incredible. And the views, the whole, like the reception area and the main dining room, and then they had just a sitting area, were just humongous windows. So this is actually out the window from that place, and one of the many incredible views that they had there.
Again, and that's of course, the beach and the ocean, and we had our feet in it. But just gorgeous. It reminds you of the southern coast. So talking about Oregon and looking at it as you went down, it really made you feel like if you've ever been down to Gold Beach and Bandon in that area, that's what I thought of as we came around the corners. Then this was the next little beach town on the thing. And again, you can't see it very well, but this is all people. Lots and lots of people sitting there.
Between Carolyn and I think we had 1,000 pictures. So we really had to cull through. And that was on cameras, not just, then we had cell phone pictures.
This is downtown Lisbon then. This is and they're doing some major work on fixing up, that this is a big old statue and all that type of thing in there, but that's what the square looks like. So you can go down into Lisbon and that's what the square. And then you remember when we had our speaker come and talk to us about, she talked a lot about the tile work. The buildings all have this tile, and so instead of like brick or painted walls, they have tile along it, especially in the downtown Lisbon area.
But even in some of the other areas, like the older areas like Alfama, very much, buildings that are hundreds and hundreds of years old and kind of look like they're, a little bit in ruin. But then there's these gorgeous tiles that are preserved. And
the town had a major earthquake, and they love to still talk about that too. I mean, it was years and years and years and years ago. And yet, they talked a lot about that and how they had to rebuild and how a lot of the town had to be restructured, but a lot of it still was standing, so it's kind of amazing. And another shows of the density. They're very proud of this tree. Again, they talked on and on and on about how lucky we would be there while it was blooming, so I had to throw a picture in of it. I don't remember the name of it, but it was great. I actually was my companion. I took a girlfriend. She was Jewish, and so we toured we took a special Jewish tour. And this was a synagogue that had been mostly destroyed, but now that has all these artifacts and things that they were actually able to preserve, and it was pretty cool. It showed some really neat artifacts, and they're really working hard to find some of the things that were lost during that earthquake. And that's all that's standing, it's just the walls.
this is, I wish that the shadows weren't there, but on our tour, obviously there were other Rotarians, and these are two Rotarians, and one of the things I've loved about the two conferences I've been now are the people that come in their native dress or costume and are in it the entire time that well, not the same one, but you get what I mean, in it the entire time. And this lady's skirt was almost like a mermaid skirt, and it came down to her ankles, and she had on little kitten heels like this, and the streets are just cobblestones, cobbles, and we were going up hills on this climb and down tons and tons of stairs, and she was amazing the whole time, carried herself with such grace and poise. And we had stopped at some point before we were heading down the next round of stairs, and she and her husband were just standing there talking, and I just turned around and snapped it, but I don't know, I just thought it was really cool to get them in their dress.
It is very difficult. If you have trouble walking, this would be a tough place to go, because it's all cobblestone. So I mean, you had to walk in tennis shoes and stuff, and I don't know how people did it in heels, because it was hard walking. Isn't that a cool picture? I like this when it came to it.
Yeah, this was on that same tour. We're walking through the little village, and it is a little village, and you walk through, and the streets are this big, right? And there's houses, and the cars go through, and there's a bunch of us walking down the street, and these two ladies just were taking it all in and living their life, and I don't know, it was just very picturesque for me. Okay, and then the guys, Carlos and Tom. I mean, they've been friends, but it was like this whole new bromance happened. It's like, Diane and I are like, really? Do you want us to leave? Everywhere we went.
This is the daughter of those of you that are guests. Jeff, who just left, but we had Riley with us then. We went to a really nice restaurant that night, and it was hot.
It was very hot, but it was at the top of the hill we had climbed the day before, and we had seen it, and it just had amazing, expansive views of Lisbon. And we had tried to go in there the night before, a different group of us, and we couldn't get in. And we were sitting at our hotel and asked somebody, because we couldn't remember the name of the restaurant, and asked one of the hotel employees, and oh, I used to work there, and I know so-and-so, I'll get you a reservation, and you tell him I sent you. And so we got there, and we got a premier table outside, right at the deck, or at the edge of the deck, overlooking everything, and had phenomenal service, and we just really enjoyed it. It was the three of them, and then Carolyn's friend Naomi and myself, and it was just a fabulous, fabulous night.
Again, more scenery.
Yeah, that's the square in Portland, or Portugal, Lisbon. Just a density shot. I mean, it's amazing.
Sitting outside, having some coffee. Great mochas and coffee. That's a lunch. We had lunch.
We had lunch on the tour, and they stopped at a traditional restaurant. That was our lunch.
What is
and
that?
actually, it was pretty good.
What is it? Yeah.
We don't ask questions. We just eat. It was good. It was spinach. It was a beef of some. It was yeah.
Or more.
And spinach, and it was really, really creamy spinach.
Yeah, and little potatoes. Because now we're at the convention. That's the opening ceremonies.
Nosebleed seats.
Oh, that didn't turn out as good. So, I think you might remember last year I shared with you about the flag ceremony where a representative from every country that's in attendance brings their flag and presents it to the conference, and they're lined up on stage. And I remember last year that was one of the most moving things for me. And this year we're sitting there and it's time for the flag ceremony, and I'm like, this isn't right. And people that were presenting the flags all looked the same. They were all in black uniforms, if you will. And I might have turned to you and said, hey, last year, you know, they were in their native dress, and it was just so different. And I was kind of ticked. And, you know, but I'm listening and I'm making my notes, 190 flags, because that meant 190 countries were represented, and it was great. Well, they get all done. So 190 people were dressed alike, and I was disappointed. Well, they get all done, and gentleman, I can't remember his name, got up to speak, and he told us the story of why those people were there. And there's a local university there, and it was students from the university. And the reason that they had them present was because this university, when you are accepted there, part of your acceptance is you have to wear this uniform. You cannot wear anything else. And the idea is that there should be no class, no race, no ethnicity. We are all people, we are all the same, and we are here to learn. And so I was like, okay, I forgive them. It was fine. But the flag ceremony, I wish that had turned, it looks better on here. The flag ceremony is always just incredible.
Okay, this was almost our favorite part of the opening ceremonies. They sing wonderful if you've never heard them, and they are also incredibly, for the men in the room you probably won't feel this way, but for the women they are like the hottest guys in the world. And,
The guy on the
Kim and I
left
were
is my
ready-
favorite.
Yeah, Kim and I were ready to leave our hubbies and go for any of the four. They weren't going out in the class. But we thought we'd get 15 minutes of them, because they're pretty well known, and they're, we got what?
We got over an hour. We had 9 songs. These 4 are all from, each one is from a different country, and they came together for their love of music and also to help show that music can be transcended into any language and to break down barriers. And they travel all over the world and sing. And actually Simon Cowell from, all those reality shows, he's actually who discovered them 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they just were incredible singers.
The second from the right, that's David. He's from the United States.
Yeah, one is from the United States.
United States, Italy,
This one is.
Spain.
Do they sing a cappella?
yes, and they have music as well.
Oh, they're fabulous.
Okay.
So Interact celebrates 50 years. We have to kind of hustle, we're out of time. But it was really cool. We went to the Interact board. We saw Kim filled it out for when our Interact club had started, so that we were now part of this traveling
this was in the House of Friendship, and, okay, guys, I took a swag on the date. I didn't expect to see this, but 1994, I don't know if that's right, but it's pretty close. Interact Club of Sherwood, Oregon, USA, Art Club,
Love
Love
service.
Service, and Rotary. So we are now in the timeline for the 50th anniversary. Another pic, I put this as Rotary too. This is why I love Rotary. You go anywhere in the world and you meet people or you find friends. So Diane and Carlos Noriega connected with friends from their very first Rotary Club in California at the House of Friendship in Lisbon. It was great.
Yeah, sometimes it was so funny because, I mean, there's all these people, and I'm just walking down the street, and I run into Carol Weston, who's from 5100. I hadn't even seen her. She wasn't part of our tour. I mean, it just was fascinating that you could see people you knew. And this guy, look at the pins.
He made the kids look bad.
We thought,
Even his hat. I mean, it was great. So, yeah. Carolyn had a moment. Actually, it wasn't Carolyn's fault, but this is at the District 5100 reception. And for whatever reason, they made up the name tag for Carolyn as Marshall.
so my husband got to attend the party, even though I didn't yet. And he wasn't there. So then we went to London. So just get you a few pictures of our London experience. We went separate, but we saw most of the same sites. This is a huge Ferris wheel, that London Eye, and it's pretty cool because you can see all over London from it. We've missed the baby being born though.
This was in Oxford, and you know, when you're in London and you travel the tube and it's time to get off, they always say, mind the gap, so you don't fall between the train and the street. And so in Oxford, it was mind your head at Oxford University in this one area. And then where Tom and I were staying with friends of mine from when I lived over there, they live in Wantage, a wonderful small community, not too far from Oxford. And we're just walking down the street, and that was what I saw. And it was the 50th anniversary of their club. And my friend that I was staying with, he doesn't know a whole lot about Rotary, but he said to me, I finally get the connection between you and this. That was cool.
So did you get him to talk him into joining?
Not yet. So here's what happens when I came back from work. We have our in and out board, and all I wrote was I was out till July 1st. Tea with the Queen. So that's it. There's stuff going around on the tables we brought back.
There was wonderful. We didn't have time to tell you about all the workshops we were able to attend, the more of the speakers and stuff. We want to just kind of give you the scenic view of the experience. But it's an incredible experience. You meet so many people and see so many people. There was also an a land strike that happened while we were there. So literally, had we not gotten out the day we did, most people got stranded on Thursday. They closed everything, and that was kind of a disaster. And I think almost they did it on purpose because there was 20,000 Rotarians floating around. So there was this massive strike, and poor Riley, Jeff's daughter, was pretty worried she was going to get stuck in Portugal. But it's an incredible country. They all speak English, which was also surprising. We had all these Portuguese books. We were going to learn how to speak. Everybody spoke English.
So, and one thing we learned, Tyler and Bryce, next year, and it's around here somewhere, is the first International Rotary Act Convention.
In Canada.
Yeah, in Canada. So, it's somewhere in this stuff
I think
floating
it's
around.
right here. Does anyone want it?
Yeah,
I can
it's
pass it
pretty
to you.
cool. I thought that was really cool to look
Does
at.
it say we're in Canada?
So,
It's either in Montreal, I want to say Montreal, but I could be wrong. It's floating around.
we can get the information for you, but
I thought we had to take some interactors too, but they said it's going to be too much drinking to include the interactors.
Toronto, is that where it is? There you go. So, anyway, we'll be happy to share more. But for now, if we could rise and do the